Well, welcome to October, and there's so much going on at Tesla. We're getting ready to see what's going to become officially of the Giga Austin Model Y. Now, of course, we've been talking about this for quite some time, and we've been able to see a lot of the progress that's been happening and getting firsthand look at this new facility in Austin. Giga Austin is approximately 3/4 of a mile long. It is absolutely massive, and this phase 1 of Giga Austin is going to help support Tesla as it achieves its growth goals over the years. Of course, they're going to expand, and eventually this facility will be making Model Ys and Cybertrucks, as well as potentially some other platforms that Tesla has on the burner. I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Drive Protected Shop, and if you've been following our channel, you know we have done DIY kits on both our Model Y and our Model 3 for PPF. We've saved thousands of dollars by doing this ourselves, and we have gone with the Expel kits that come from Drive Protected Shop. Now, these kits are pre-cut, making it very easy to place these. You can save absolutely a ton of money by getting your PPF kit at Drive Protected Shop. Now, their prices are in Canadian dollars, so US dollars is about 20% less, plus you'll get an extra 20% off when you use code BTG. So thanks again to Drive Protected Shop for sponsoring this episode. So with that, let's dive into the details because there's quite a bit to talk about, including some new stuff that came out just this week. We got our first glimpses of that fully casted front end for a Model Y. So Giga Austin has now been showing both the rear cast and the front cast for Model Y body assembly. This is really important because both of those are needed in order to move to the new battery cells, which we'll talk about in a moment. This is revolutionary design, revolutionary thinking that only an outsider could bring to the automotive world. The presses that are used to make these castings are the largest in the world because nobody has ever attempted to do this before. So Tesla is going to be the first to launch cars with a fully casted rear end and a fully casted front end. And then they're going to assemble the battery right in the middle. So this will actually be a very strong car. So with that, they've reduced a number of parts that are usually stamped and assembled together, whether that be welded or bolted. So now it's one piece, all those skews are gone, and this car is going to be extremely rigid. So from a performance perspective, this car is going to perform awesome. From a weight perspective, this car is going to be lighter. And from an ease of manufacturing, it's going to require a lot less work to put this together. Of course, this is all part of the big plan in moving away from the existing platform and into the future at Tesla. So we would assume that these casted bodies, as they're being proven out from the Model Y, will then go to the Model 3 and then move into the Model X and the Model S. I don't know why they would not do this, but we will see in the future how this does develop across all the platforms. Next on the docket is that 4680 cell, and there's a lot of talk about it because we don't know 100% if the 4680 cell is going to find its way in the very first cars out of Giga Austin. Giga Austin is so close to completion. They've already been doing a lot of pilot runs, and just this week we saw thousands of cars in the parking lot, which could either be a number of people who are in there for interviews, or it could even be some training that's happening right now as they're preparing for production. Giga Austin is actually going to come online probably in weeks rather than months at this point. So they are very close to the finish line, and that 4680 cell, it may not quite be there. I know that they're making tremendous progress, but going from small scale production to large scale production in the volumes that the Model Y will require is going to take a lot of work, and I know they're still working on that and fine tuning it and getting it just right. So the 4680 cell is technically not ready for full production yet. So that's going to have a bearing on if the first cars are going to have these new battery cells or not. These new battery cells are going to change the game in so many ways. Number one, they're way more dense, so they can hold a lot more energy in a smaller package. Number two, they're also going to perform a lot better in various climate situations. So it's less prone to issues with extreme heat and less prone to issues with extreme cold. So you're going to have less range reduction in the wintertime if you're in a very cold climate, and while you're charging, it's going to be able to withstand a much faster rate of charge for a much longer period of of time. So presumably you could get a lot more range per minute of charge with these new cells than you can in the existing formats that are out there. These cells are going to change the game. They're also going to be cheaper to manufacture, so it should help to bring the prices down. Now, ultimately what Tesla does with this new technology is completely up to them. They really have two options. Number one, they can keep the existing battery pack size and just have the new cells, so you're going to get tremendously more range, or they could reduce the number of cells that go into the car and you're actually technically going to have a smaller battery pack than you have today, but you could have the same or even more range. So it's yet to be seen what Tesla's going to do, but I really think that given the constraints right now, Tesla is most likely to reduce the size of the battery pack, so that way the batteries that they do have in production are plentiful enough to support more cars. Now, over time, as they perfect that manufacturing process for the 4680 cells, they'll be able to pump out a lot more volume. So I think in the short term, we're going to see either a smaller pack, and it's going to be supplemented by the 2170 cells that we have today, and then it'll gradually increase over time. Now, that 4680 cell is required for the Cybertruck. That Cybertruck is built on the idea of having 500 miles of range, having the performance of 2.9 seconds 0 to 60, and so many other amazing things, and that cell is critical. In addition, the Semi also requires that battery cell format. It is going to be a mega pack in this truck, and it is potentially going to revolutionize the transportation industry. And just yesterday, we got something really interesting pop up that seems to continually find its way to the surface over time. I'm talking about an air suspension. Now, this topic has been shut down by Elon Musk in the past, but he's also shut down other ideas that have been floated out there that ultimately found their way into production. So take it with a grain of salt, because this continues to come up. Just yesterday in the firmware update, we did get a glimpse, thanks to Green Only, with a leak that shows true renderings of a Model Y and a Model 3 that are clearly showing an air suspension. It's the same rendering that we're seeing for the Model S, but with the silhouette, you can clearly tell this is a Model 3 and this is a Model Y. So is the air suspension finally coming to the Model 3 and or Model Y? Well, we obviously don't know anything else yet, and Elon Musk has been extremely quiet on this topic as of late. But I think that there's a chance, possibly, that as Tesla is moving to this casted chassis for the car, that may be the right time to incorporate new changes just like this. So they could be including an air suspension in the next generation Model Y. And then from the pictures, it looks like you could potentially be getting it with a Model 3 as well. Now, I would assume this would be limited to specific models. For example, the Standard Range Plus is likely to not have an air suspension once it moves over to this platform, but the long range all-wheel drive probably will, the performance probably will. We'll just have to wait and see. But when you get an air suspension, you're not only improving overall comfort of a car that needs a more plush suspension, but you also have the flexibility of tuning it for performance. So you can have the benefits of a tuned performance suspension on the weekend when you're going to the track, and you can enjoy a plush ride on the way back home. It is a perfect blend of two worlds, comfort and performance. So I'm really hopeful, probably more hopeful than I should be, that this air suspension is finally coming to the Model Y and the Model 3. We'll just have to wait and see. Time will tell, of course. So I'm really anxious to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. Are you waiting for the Model Y coming out of Austin and thinking about maybe trading in your existing Model Y? I think that's going to be quite a long list of people that are probably going to pull the trigger once all these new updates come to fruition. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.